My name is Amy Kubanik. I live in Vancouver. I teach Pilates, and I am a mother and a wife. I took the new inner game. I came across the work because I was really interested in learning more about the nervous system specifically. So I searched nervous system Vancouver, and that's what I came up with. And I was really intrigued by your writing and by all of the smaller lessons that you had. So I followed you for a few months, and the game seemed like a really good fit for me, and I'm so grateful that I ended up taking it. I chose to do it because I knew I needed it. Yeah.
How did you know? What was it?
It was the trauma piece, because I knew that I was carrying around traumas from my past. I knew what they were. I had done a lot of work on them and done a lot of work around them, but I still wasn't able to let them go.
Got it.
So I just felt like I have this baggage here and it's holding me down, and I need to do something about it. And I tried many other systems, I tried many other therapies, and some of them were helpful, but mostly not. Mostly it was still really present, and it was still really there with me. I wasn't expecting it to work, of course.
I like that.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What were you expecting?
Just more, for it to be somewhat helpful, but not a game changer. And so I was really just blown away by how much it affected my entire life.
When did you start to notice the shifts? Like, it's a 12-week program. Like, do you remember the first real thing?
Yeah, I would feel like I had two big shifts. And so the first one would have been in December, and then the second one would have been in January.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about those?
So the first one, it was just this emotional being able to let go. Now, I've never been afraid of crying. Mm-hmm. I'm a sensitive person, and I've always had this need to cry. Mm-hmm. And everyone around me has sort of known that about me, and it's sort of well known.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that I never gave myself the permission that it was okay. I always somehow felt that there was something wrong with me for being so sensitive, and that it was somehow a problem.
Right.
And there was just a switch in me where I realized, no, this is healthy.
Yeah.
And it's necessary. Yeah. And if I don't do this, then I'm just going to get sicker. That was a really big shift.
Yeah.
And it was just being able to give myself the time and the space in order to do that, and to be able to ask my family also for that time and space. There was a huge shift, not just in me, but also in my whole family dynamic at that point.
Can you tell us a little bit about the family dynamic? And the reason why is because people go in for their own personal health healing. You also work with people one-on-one, so that's another element, how this is helping your practice.
Yeah.
But immediate in your family, what were the things that you noticed in the interactions, relationships?
I was surprised at how quickly our communication changed. I think one big light bulb moment for all of us, or at least for my husband and I, was that just because there is an emotional charge doesn't mean that it's an urgent matter. And so being able to differentiate feeling emotional and there being a need to really act on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, realizing that there's different attention that you can pay to each moment, right? And it doesn't need to be met, even though if I'm feeling an emotional 10, it doesn't need to be met with that same sort of urgency of 10. It can also be met with, it can be met with a 2 or a 3, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And maybe that's actually what I need. So, if there's an emotional upset, meeting it then at the same intensity on the other side of, oh my goodness, okay, well, we got to do something. We got to figure it out. That just winds up the emotional, the intensity of it. And then it just goes crazy. And then before you know it, you're headed off in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
We had this big light bulb where it was like, wait a second, no, it's just, call off the panic police.
Totally. You've got a son, right?
I do. And I found actually I had some really neat moments recently where I noticed that in myself and my own reaction with him is that when he would get really upset or get really sick, he has these episodes sometimes where he'll get really shaking. He'll get shaken, by being scared, make me very panicked.
Yeah.
And now I realize that I can soothe him a lot better because I understand why the shaking's happening, what's going on, and it doesn't alarm me so much. So I feel like I'm I'm much more capable to support him as a mother.
That must feel so good.
Yeah, it does. It does, and it also translates to my clients too, where I don't feel this urgency to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Where I did feel that pressure in other work environments that I was in prior.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pressure to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That, have these magical realizations and these magical moments with clients. And, now it's more about just holding the space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more about really listening to them and being a part of their experience, and just enabling them to go forward in their experience.
Have you noticed a difference in how your clients take on or respond to your work, Amy, now that you've got this, it's not only educational lens, but this internal knowing language of the nervous system on board and what trauma really is. So how do they respond differently?
The first thing I would say is that I'm attracting completely different clients.
Oh.
A year ago. And partly it has to do with how I've structured myself and how I've positioned myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe a lot of it has to do with who I am and who the kind of referrals that I'm getting from my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So before, I was getting a lot of people coming to me, not really sure why they were coming. They weren't really committed to making changes in themselves. And now, it's completely reversed. I'm seeing people who just really want to make changes in their life, and they are really interested in investigating things with me, and we go through really quickly, and I feel like the results that I'm getting are so much better. Just this really interesting investigation of the mind-body connection, and it's really, really cool.
That's so neat. And you said to me the other day, we were chatting, that your business has taken off.
Yeah.
What was it like before? And I don't advertise this course, obviously. I'm not in that business of trying to make people more money, but what have you noticed since doing the New Inner Game and getting more in your own guts and inner sensations?
I mean, it's really literally changed my life. And I thank you again for
You're
that.
Welcome. You are welcome.
So I went from being not very busy to having a lot of free time on my hands to being very busy and having to be very choosy about the breaks that I take. And I have a wait list.
Wow.
Yeah, in just a couple of months. Yeah, it's really cool. Sure.
So what would be the one thing that you wish you could tell people about in terms of this nervous system healing trauma learning that you've done through the New Inner Game? Like, what's the nugget?
That the feelings that you're trying to hide from yourself are the ones that are going to get you where you really want to be.
And you obviously that's from personal experience.
It's from personal experience, but I feel like I witness so often, just day to day, on different scales, like on a real big scale and very small scale, people hiding their feelings from themselves mostly, but also from other people.
Yeah.
In order to either protect, usually, I mean, it's probably for good, right? It's for good reason. It's to protect these other people, to not have a conflict. The thing is that, you know, I think a lot of the time, it doesn't mean, just because you let your feelings out doesn't mean you're going to have conflict.
No.
It's this really interesting fear that we have, trying to avoid conflict, because we didn't have conflict in my house, so I didn't understand how that worked. You know, my parents just didn't speak to each other.
They were just
period.
Yeah. What a difference that you're bringing into your family.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you're breaking the trauma cycle.
Yeah, and we've explained to my son, you know, it's important that we have confrontation. It's important that we argue, because we are thinking different things. But during this process, because we respect each other, we're going to figure it out.
Cool.
But I think that for me, the interesting thing is that a lot of the time, my expectation of this fear of conflict is really just not founded in any truth, because even if I let my feelings out, it doesn't mean there's going to be conflict.
No.
That's just my fear. Oftentimes it's not even close to conflict. You know, because we are, as humans, we're very creative, and we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you know what, it's given me a lot more trust in myself and also in other people that you know we can do it. I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
I feel like every conversation I have with every person I meet is so much more interesting now.
Oh. You think that's a quality of your radar in a different light, or how your energy is, or a bit of everything?
It's partly how I now frame the world, but it also has a lot to do with my own energy. So instead of internalizing a lot of what people are saying, thinking somehow that they're talking about me, I can let go of my ego and enjoy myself a lot more.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, exactly.
You got a long life to live, so you might as well enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I am so glad that all these, all these byproducts have occurred as a result of learning about this one thing. It's cool to hear. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.